Welcome back to Nat Cakes My Day. I'm Nat, and today I'm going to be showing you how I made this Starbucks pumpkin spice latte cake. This cake was made for a pumpkin spice collab hosted by Morgan and Sasha. So once I heard about this collab, I definitely wanted to join because fall is finally here, so super excited to make my first fall cake. So the theme for this is just pumpkin spice, so you can do anything in terms of flavor or just the theme in general. When I hear pumpkin spice, I automatically think of pumpkin spice lattes at Starbucks because it's PSL season. Honestly, I'm not a fan of pumpkin spice, I'm not a fan of lattes, and I'm definitely not a fan of both of them together. But I wanted to think out of the box, so I thought this was going to be a fun and very unique idea. So if you wanted to see how I made this cake, then keep on watching. So first I started out with one of my base collab cakes. I actually used it for the popsicle drip cake as well. I just saran wrapped it and put it straight into the freezer. I knew I wanted to reuse it for this anyway. I pulled it out of the fridge and let it thaw completely before I started working with it. Again, no worries, no one's gonna eat this. It was all just for show. I tend to recycle cakes when it comes to collabs because I just want to save time, money, and resources, and it works very, very well. So first I wanted to start with the cup shape. I just took my measuring cup here because it was a circle shape. I put it right on the top, and then I wanted to use that as a guideline as the bottom of my cup. And then I used just a serrated knife and just worked my way down to go for more like an A line to get the shape of the cup. And notice as well, I work from the skinny part at the top to the wide angle, which is the top of the cup. You of course want to start upside down, and then eventually we're going to go ahead and flip that over. And then once I'm happy with my shape, I'm going to go ahead and crumb coat that and chill it. So the crumb coat, you don't have to worry about smoothing it with a bench scraper. It's just to lock in the crumbs at first. You are going to make sure it's nice and clean when you do your final coat of frosting. And then once my final coat of frosting is chilling, I wanted to get started on the logo. So honestly, with this cake, the only real part of detail in this was the logo itself. So first, I printed out a few sizes of the logo that it could potentially be a good fit, and then I just cut out the shape and then got started. So when it comes to cutting out intricate logos, something with a lot of detail and something that you have to be really, really precise with, it is really important that you do want to print that and use it as a template. So for something as small as this with the very fine details, you want to work your way in. So first I started by cutting out a green circle of the size of the logo first, and then I started on the white. So once I had my green shape, I went ahead and rolled out some white fondant and cut out just the most outer detail of the Starbucks logo. So notice here it's just like the top frame, pretty much the crown, and then the side details. And then I went ahead and cut out the template a bit so I can go ahead and trace that on the white fondant. You do want to keep the logo as intact as you possibly can so that you can actually use the printed out template to place where you want to put it on the green part. This will help you keep it most accurate as it possibly can be. So first I cut out the crown. That was super simple, that was very easy. The next part was just the side detail. Since this is symmetrical, I just went ahead and cut out a template once and then just flipped it over and then cut it out again in fondant, so I got two equal and matching sides.
So this is what I mean when I say you want to use the printed template as an outline and a guideline to put your pieces onto the green part.
And then for the tiny little lines of details, I thought I could cut them out very easily, but I ended up kind of just cutting out little pieces as I went, and then I molded it and cut it to make it fit. Fondant's really great because it's very easy to move, easy to mold, so you can just really cut pieces out and then shape them as you'd like. So I went ahead and did that for both sides. This actually took so much more work than I thought, so I wanted to take a break and went ahead and worked back on my actual cake. So I pulled up my cake here and I rolled out a bigger piece of white fondant. For something like this, I didn't really care about covering the bottom part because it is going to be covered as it's the bottom of the cup. So I went ahead and made a longer strip that was tall enough to fit the height of the cup and long enough to go around the actual circumference of the cup. You want to just quickly give it a nice wrap and hug around the cup and then start smoothing it as quick as you can so that you can get the shape very nice and clean wrapped around it. For something like this as well, thank God, I did not have to worry about the seam because of course all Starbucks cups have a seam on one side. So of course I had to flip my cup over because it was an upside down cup. This is super easy. I just took another cake board and put it on top, and then carefully, very carefully, you want to do a quick flip over and then you're good to go. As I'm trimming the bottom of the cup as well, I did want to leave a bit of fondant, maybe like ½ centimeter, just because that was going to act as the lip. So just make sure you watch out for that detail so that it's as realistic as possible. And then once I was happy with the covering of the cup, I had to go back to the logo and finish that up. Fondant is the death of me. I love it and I hate it. Fondant takes so much work, but it's always worth it, so I knew it was gonna be worth it. I'm just gonna keep powering through. It's fine, it's fine. So next I went ahead and cut out the body and the head, and I focused on that. So go ahead and cut out your logo here and then trace on those shapes and then stick them onto the logo. Oh, and then of course I carved out her nose and her mouth. Again, put it on top first, and then I started carving little bits and then just picked out those pieces of fondant to show below with my X-Acto knife. And then for the hair. So because fondant is, when it's really soft, it's pretty hard to work with, because when you are starting to cut it, it'll start pulling with you a little bit. Sometimes it helps if you let your fondant out to dry a little bit, if you put it in the fridge for a little bit. I didn't have patience at this point, I just went ahead and cut through it. So I took again the template of her body and her head, and I just put it on my white fondant, and I used that as a guideline. So I went ahead and cut out some wavy, longer pieces for her hair just to go along that template so I know the shape was gonna fit properly. And then once I put it onto the logo, I shaped it accordingly. So making sure those waves were nicely pushed and accentuated. I think on the logo there's actually 3 strands, but I was not gonna fit that, so can you even tell? I bet you can't even tell, it's fine. 2 strands looks great. And that was it for the logo, thank God. That was the hardest part of the cake, and after this point it was just smooth sailing, so I was pumped, ready to go. And now I just bring out my cake and stick it onto the cup. So I applied just a brush of some water, and then I stuck it onto the front of the cake, making sure it's nice and centered and where I wanted it to be. I did notice that this cake was much fatter than a cup, which was great. So it was larger than a Trenta, which is the biggest size at Starbucks, but it was quite short. I definitely would have made it taller had I known that, or if I had more time, I would have made it taller. But then if you are gonna make something taller than this, it would require you to add some support. So whether that be a cake board in between the 2 layers together, or you have to stick a dowel through the entire thing so it's nice and strong and structured. I went ahead and just made it nice and short and a little chubby. It was still very large, and that's all I really wanted, so I was cool with the size of that. And then once I was happy with the cup and the logo and everything, I just wanted to do the finishing details on the top. So I did make some brown buttercream, and I wanted to cover the top a little bit, just because I knew this whole whipped cream wasn't gonna cover completely. So I wanted it to give that brown latte kind of look. And then for the buttercream, this was super, super easy. It's just plain old vanilla buttercream, and I used the Wilton 1M Star tip. It works very well for a whipped cream look. So from here, I just went ahead and piped on that whipped cream. Since the whipped cream was gonna be so tall, I actually had to add so much. If someone was eating this, oh my God, this would be a sugar overload. And then the finishing touches was just sprinkling on some cinnamon. I carefully placed that all over the top. I went down and looked at it, and I made sure that I was throwing it at the front so I could get a nice visual of the pumpkin spice. I don't even know what goes on top of a pumpkin spice latte. Is it cinnamon? Or is it actually like a pumpkin spice? I have no idea. But cinnamon looks like, I think, what it looks like, so we're going with that. That's cool. Oh, of course, and the final touch. I'm pretty sure pumpkin spice lattes don't come with straws, because who would drink a hot drink? I have no idea. But I wanted to add the straw so it looked like a Starbucks drink. So I actually had a straw from Starbucks, so it worked perfectly, and I just went ahead and stuck that right in there. And that's it. So super simple, actually really easy to do, minus the logo. This cake was so much fun to make. I was so excited to post it on that Pumpkin Spice Day collab. And it actually got so much more love than I thought it would. But the fact that it looked very real, and the fact that it looked giant and like bigger than my head, I think is what got all the bakers excited about it. And a lot of my friends too, they were super pumped about this one. But most of all, the highlight of this cake, me and Deep were just having dinner, and then I looked at my phone for 1 second and I saw that the Yolanda Gampp commented on my photo and liked my photo and said that I nailed it and that this was incredible, and my life was complete. Oh my gosh. I don't know why I felt so starstruck. Like, I have been following Yolanda for probably 3 years now. She posts a YouTube every Tuesday at 8 a.m. PST, and I'm on that. Every Tuesday is like my video time with Yolanda because she is so amazing when it comes to her fondant cakes. And Deep actually got me her cake book about 2 years ago for Christmas, and honestly, he got me a bunch of little things with it, and that was just my favorite part. I love her book so much. I love all of her cakes. I don't understand how all of her cakes are actually cakes. So realistic. So yeah, the second I got that comment, I instantly started tearing. I don't know why, and I don't know what's wrong with me, but I think it was just really, really cool to be recognized by that because she is my idol, and just only having started this whole cake journey in April, that was just the biggest thing for me. Anyway, I know it may not seem like a huge deal, but to me, it was like the biggest deal ever, so I'm super happy with that. So this cake has to be my favorite so far, honestly, just because of that. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you later.